much longer do you think?
The state does not have much time left, maybe 10, 15 minutes.
An hour?
I would think more than an hour.
Well, we'll probably not finish, right?
I would think.
And the detective
All right.
actually needs to leave at 5.
I'm actually covered, I'm good for as long as you need me right now.
Okay.
1, 2, 5, 6. So who is tomorrow?
Witnesses?
Yeah.
The state anticipates calling one witness tomorrow morning. Marshal Willick, our expert.
Okay.
I don't think we'll have any trouble finishing the trial tomorrow, even
Are
generally.
you talking, when you say finish, you're not talking closings, right? Are you?
We should be able
Really?
to.
So, but we haven't even gone over, and we can't go over the jury instructions. Maybe we can do it at 11 or 12 o'clock. Okay.
So we're going to start at 9 tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I think we can do that.
Okay. Well, we got to finish up with him and then Marshal Willick.
And Your Honor received the state's proposed jury
Yes.
instructions.
Yes. Do you have a set?
Not yet, we'll
All
have
right.
some tomorrow.
We absolutely, and you guys will have to meet and go over the verdict form, go over jury instructions that you agree on, and then the ones you don't agree on. So we don't have to go through the ones you have no objections to. Standard ones. Okay, bring them in. Anything else?
There.
Counsel, your appearances for the record.
The court has a few comments before we begin.
We are on the record in the matter, case D-505.
You guys either agree or I order.
Please rise for the jury. Okay, please be seated. Parties acknowledge the presence of the jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes?
Craig, do you acknowledge the presence?
Acknowledge the presence.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Go ahead, continue. You're still under oath.
And Detective, I think we have worked out the technical difficulties, so we're going to show you some video.
This is your motion. You have the burden. You have to tell me things.
And Detective, is this the video you obtained from the March 16, 2018 hearing in the course of your investigation?
It is.
Okay. All right. And this has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 7. It's 3 different clips, and we're just going to play all of them.
So yeah, I would like to.
Okay, so you need to raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to make in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
Hold on. Is that a yes, Mr.
Yes,
McDonald?
Judge.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay, I will.
Back on the record, everybody have a seat. Counsel, you can certainly call your witnesses and call Mr. McDonald. What's your preference? Who would you like to call first?
Mr. McDonald.
Mr. McDonald, come on up to the witness stand. I'm going to remind you that you're under oath. You can leave all your notes and paperwork there. Go ahead, counsel. We're back on the record. Thank you, counsel, Mr. McDonald, for giving me a moment to review some documents. Thank you, Mr. McDonald, for giving me a moment to review some documents. Come on up back to the witness stand. I'm going to ask you to put your phone away. Counsel, continue.
Where are you currently living?
Close to UNLV.
Can you tell me your address?
I prefer not to, as I don't want to be stalked.
You don't want to be stalked?
Judge, I've been being stalked recently, as per my evidence, and I would not like to disclose my address.
Okay.
You're not currently living at 5812 Harmony Avenue?
Correct.
So that's the address you have listed on your most recent financial disclosure, correct?
I sometimes use it as a mailing address.
And whose address is that?
My stepdad.
Are you currently working?
I do odd jobs currently.
What type of odd jobs do you do?
Depends. Some computer stuff, some real estate stuff, cleaning up things like.
Okay, and how much do you get paid for those odd jobs?
I try to make it. I do as much as I can to make like $800 to pay my bills, so at least $800 a month.
Okay, and you realize that you've listed on your financial disclosure that you make $0, correct?
I don't believe it's true.
Do you have a copy of your financial disclosures that you filed?
I don't think I do. I think it's in the exhibit list. It might be over there. So I'm also a student right now and doing my best to get work, as I tried to get rehired at my old job and was unable to.
You paying for school?
I'm going for financial aid and scholarships.
You're submitting paperwork for that, or you already have that?
I submitted for financial aid, yes.
But you're not currently receiving it?
I got approved. I didn't get approved for last semester, but I should be getting approved for this upcoming semester.
So you went to school last semester?
Yeah.
How did you pay for school last semester?
Through financial aid. I think I still owe them some money on that, so we're still waiting on funds for that.
When did you start in your attending school at UNLV? Is that correct?
Yeah.
When did you start attending school there?
It's the winter semester of 2017.
Isn't that semester still going?
No, it's spring semester.
And on your financial disclosure, despite listing that you make $0, you claim $800 in business expenses, correct?
Maybe I filled it out inappropriately. That 800 is around what I'm currently going for each month. I'm doing my best to earn.
Okay, because you also, so you have on your business expenses, you have a car and truck being used for business that you spend $100 a month on.
That's a gas charge, I think, if I recall.
For insurance, $100. For mortgage or rent, $550.
Yeah.
Are you renting out an office space?
It's zoned commercial and residential.
So you're living there?
Possibly, yeah.
And utilities of $50, correct?
That's part of the 550, yeah.
So you have, so you list here that your average gross income from self-employment or business is $800, correct?
It fluctuates, yes.
And then $750 in business expenses. Okay. And then you also filled out the personal expense schedule. And you have a total monthly expenses of $1,050.
Yeah, so I also have a rental contract where I can have reduced rent for doing different jobs around the limits of my friend's house. So.
Okay, so is that a business address or is that a lease? So you're paying $550 for rent on a business and $500 for rent on an apartment?
It's a commercial and residential place. It's a big place that I have. I also have beds for my kids. I have everything in place for them as well. They come over there.
Okay, but if you're, as you say here, if you're making $0 a month.
I didn't state that.
I'm going to have you. You don't have a copy of your financial disclosure. I'll have you look at this. Can you just review that real quick, and then I'll ask you some questions. Does that appear to be your financial disclosure?
Appears to be.
Is that your signature on the back page?
I believe so.
Is that your handwriting with your name at the top of the front page?
I believe so.
Okay, and if you look on the second page, what does it state for your annual income? Up towards the top.
Year-to-date income, is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I filled that out. It wasn't.
Does it have zeros written?
Oh, I think it's question mark because I don't know exactly how much it was.
So those aren't zeros.
I was unemployed for
that category.
Oh, this year 2018. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to put there.
The record speaks for itself, counsel. I can see the financial disclosure form that he filed with the court that says gross monthly income 0.
Okay, so that I might have divided by 12.
0, 0, 0,
Yeah,
0 divided by 12, 0.
I might have put that.
Okay, next question.
And Detective, was that a portion of the video that you obtained and watched in the course of your investigation?
It was.
And I wanted to clarify something I asked you earlier, because I asked if you had ever met with any of the parties or attorneys or judges involved in the defendant's family court case. To be clear, did you ever in the course of your investigation meet with the defendant Michael McDonald's ex-wife?
No.
Have you ever met her?
No.
Have you ever spoken to her?
No.
And I want to ask a question, backing up to something you mentioned, that when you reviewed the letters in this case that were filed in the family court case, I believe you testified that you thought they looked like they'd been, like what was filed was a photo taken of the letters?
Correct.
Okay. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you testified that you saw a shadow on the filings that made you think that?
In the bottom left-hand corner, there's kind of a rectangular object which appears to be some kind of a shadow effect.
Okay. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to publish a State's Exhibit 5 and turn a few pages into that same exhibit. And so are we looking at the letter here?
Yes.
Okay. And this area here, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, this is actually a photocopy, so it's not as clear as an actual photograph that I've seen of it. But it much clearly indicates, it really indicates it's a shadow. This is kind of hard to tell in the photocopy, it just looks like a black spot.
Okay. And when you said photos, do you mean some of the photos that were obtained during the execution of the search warrant?
No, one of the filings was actually a clear photograph.
Okay. Do you recall the date on that filing? It's okay if you don't.
I don't.
Of course, brief indulgence.
It was a
Objection, there's no question pending.
It's sustained.
So I'm going to publish State's Exhibit 3. Okay, and is this also a photocopy?
Yes.
So now I'm publishing State's Exhibit 2. Is this what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. And this area here, is this the shadow you were talking about?
Correct.
Okay. And why did this make you think that it was a photo?
It appears, I mean, you can see the background behind the letter, and then also the shadow appeared to me to be as if it was, the photo was being taken by a phone or a tablet, and the lighting was behind, so it cast a shadow onto the actual document that was being photographed.
Court's brief indulgence. I will pass the witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examine.
Detective, how many years have you been with the Metropolitan Police Department?
25 years.
25 years. And you've had a variety of assignments, correct?
Correct.
And I suspect you've come to learn a fair bit of the law, at least criminal law, over your course of your assignments, correct?
Sure.
Sir, what does the word fraud mean to you?
Objection calls for a legal conclusion.
He's a 25-year detective.
Counsel, I'm sustaining the objection. This is not a lawyer.
All right, sir. Let me ask you a question. Let's start from the beginning. You got a tip on social media. Okay? What social media did you get a tip on?
Facebook.
Facebook. And was it the Nevada Court Watchers website, Facebook page?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Do you know who moderates Nevada Facebook or Nevada Court Watchers?
Not specifically, no.
Not specifically. That sounded awful evasive. Who moderates the Nevada Court Watchers Facebook page.
I didn't mean to be evasive with my answer. What I'm saying is I've never seen any documentation of who moderates it, or if there's more than one person.
Who do you believe moderates the Nevada Court Watchers Facebook?
I know there's one person that appears to be running things.
And who is that, sir?
Mark DiCiero.
Mark DiCiero. And are you familiar with the name Marshal Willick?
Yes.
And does he in fact also manipulate or contribute extensively to Nevada Court Watchers?
I don't know the answer to that.
Now, sir, isn't it a little dangerous for you to start taking anonymous tips from a group that has a clear agenda?
No, we take anonymous tips all the time, and that's why we corroborate the information.
Okay, well, let's go through this. You're on a group that you know has a kind of agenda, sort of political edge to it, and you're watching their website or their Facebook feed. And somebody says, hey, Michael McDonald's running for office and he doesn't live in the district. Correct?
I'm sorry, was there a question?
Was that exactly how this whole thing came to light?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're not at the Secretary of State's office, correct?
Correct.
You don't liaison with the people who actually run the elections, the registrar of voters?
No, that's incorrect.
Are you in work for the Secretary of State?
No, but we're part of a task force with them.
Task force with them. Okay. So, when someone says maybe the candidate doesn't live where they say they do, did you go pull the filings to see where he said he lived?
Yes.
And did you in fact go down and surveil his location?
Yes.
And did you in fact see him coming and going from the location he listed?
Over a period of time, yes.
Okay. And you weren't satisfied that he lived there anymore? What happened? The investigation was started, you saw him coming and going out of the residence. What more was needed to be investigated?
I'm unclear on your question.
Well, no, I'm very unclear as well, so let's see if I can rephrase this. You got asked by somebody at Nevada Court Watchers, somebody named DiCiero, an anonymous tip to investigate where Mr. McDonald lives.
Objection, misstating testimony.
All right, you took an anonymous tip from somebody that he didn't live where he's supposed to.
There was a posting on the site that was the case, yes.
Who posted it on the site?
I don't know.
You don't know. So it's an anonymous tip.
Yes.
Okay. Now, anonymous tips are very dangerous in police work, correct?
No.
Sometimes they can be useful, sometimes people have agendas, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, you get an anonymous tip. What do you do to verify?
As I testified before, I pulled his Secretary of State, or excuse me, the filings from the Clark County Elections Department to look at the package. One of the items that stood out to me is that on the same day, March 13th, that he filed a Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles.
Sure. If I could stop you, I asked you very specifically.
Yeah,
Pull the Secretary of State filings address.
I'm answering your questions.
All right. Then what are you doing over at the DMV suddenly?
I'm explaining to you what was in the package that I pulled.
What package did you pull from whom?
I said I pulled the election package from the Clark County Election Department.
Okay.
And within that filing of the documents that Mr. McDonald filed when he filed for his candidacy, there was a Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles interim DMV driver's license showing that on March 13th of 2018, he changed his address to 5603 Southeastern, and that was the same day that he actually filed for candidacy. So that was concerning to me that he's changing his address the same day that he's filing for candidacy.
And did he in fact live at 5063 Southeastern?
Eventually, I determined that he did, yes.
Okay. So why didn't the investigation end there?
At that time, we had already had...
If I could, before, okay, you found out 506.
Objection, badgering, you asked a question, you didn't.
I'm not badgering, I'm trying to get
Counsel,
an answer.
let him answer the question.
All right, sir.
You asked a question, go ahead and answer it.
He says he lives at 5063 Southeastern. You go to 5063 Southeastern, you conduct surveillance, and you see that he's coming and going out of 5063 Southeastern. What more needs to be investigated?
So first of all, it's 5603 Southeastern. But, so the day that I actually obtained that original information, it was the very next day that I obtained the information regarding the filing of the letters, which I observed.
Stop, right there. I obtained information. Obtained information. Who specifically gave you information regarding Mr. McDonald's divorce?
I'm talking about when I pulled the filings from family court and I observed the letters, but the next day there was another posting on the same Facebook site that indicated that there was a forged letter that had been filed in Mr. McDonald's divorce case.
All right, so somebody is feeding you information through a Facebook page called Nevada Court Watchers.
Objection, mischaracterizing
All
testimony.
right, who gave you the information the second time?
I don't know.
All right, so let me go through here for a moment. You were given information he doesn't live there. You went over there and found out that he did. Then you're given information that there's a false filing in his family court case, correct?
I think you're mischaracterizing the timeline of, you're saying that I found out that he lived there the same day, and then I found out this information. It's not correct. I didn't determine that he lived there for a good several weeks while I was knee-deep into this whole investigation involving all of these aspects.
Sir, let me ask you a question. You went over and spoke with Ms. Hunterton, correct?
Yes.
She confirmed for you that she met with Mr. McDonald. She was just counseling him.
Correct.
That he had been there routinely, correct?
No.
We got her attendance sheets. He was routinely over at her house.
Okay, that's not what she told me, but
Okay. That Mr. McDonald had asked her for a letter, and you agree she said that?
Are you talking about the very first time I met with her?
Sure, I've got it.
I know what you, I'm trying to understand what you're talking about so I can answer your question, but you're being kind of vague with the questions.
I have to object, these questions are calling for hearsay.
They're not hearsay questions, it's a very simple.
Ask a question.
Sir, you went over, you suspected he didn't live at the address. And then who directed you to open up an investigation into his family court file?
Nobody directed me.
Nobody directed you. How many other people have you gone over and just pulled their divorce pleadings? I'm going through a divorce. Are you looking at my pleadings?
Quite a bit. I pulled court filings from a lot of different investigations, yes.
Okay, so you pull court pleadings. Now, who directs you to, detective?
Nobody.
Does he let the sheriff tell you to investigate?
Objection, badgering, he has to let the witness answer the
Sustained
question.
counsel.
All right, who directs you to investigate?
Nobody. I conduct investigative steps on my own investigations.
Okay. Now, how many of the people that were running for state assembly did you investigate last cycle?
None from the state assembly.
All right. Now, let me ask you a question, detective. You pulled his divorce pleadings. Now, you found out he lives where he says he lives, and he pulled his divorce pleadings. Now what? Why are you investigating his divorce pleadings?
That was part of the entire investigation.
And this was the investigation begun at the behest of Nevada Court Watch at the anonymous post.
It wasn't at the behest of anybody. It was information that I viewed, and I started it.
Okay, so all I have to do is anonymously post, and you'll start looking into something.
If I see it and it's under my purview, then most likely, yes.
All right, sir. Now, Ms. Hunterton, did you go over and talk with her?
Yes.
All right. You went and pulled these documents, correct?
Correct.
Now, I'm going to go through and I want to try to stand and ask us some timeline. How long has this divorce been going on?
Several years.
Several years. How many different sets of documents have been filed in this divorce proceeding?
I don't know.
All right. Did you go down to the divorce proceeding and pull up every single piece of paper?
No.
No. Now, you watched a few moments ago while Mr. McDonald, who did not have a lawyer, was getting badgered by a lawyer about his financial disclosure, correct?
Watched the video, yes.
All right. Now, did you actually go to see if they were even talking about the same financial disclosure forms that we're talking about today?
I'm unclear. Did I go where to see?
Well, yes, sir. Mr. McDonald was hired, was laid off, was hired, was laid off. there's gonna have to have been a number of financial disclosure forms if they were properly being kept up to speed.
Well, the financial disclosure form that was being talked about in the video is clearly the one that was filed by Mr. McDonald on the
Clearly.
13th.
How do you reach that conclusion, sir?
Because they were reviewing it on the video, and you can follow along with the document as they're talking about it on the video.
All right, now let me go through some of your basics here, sir. You attached to your search warrant a financial affidavit from the 26th of September 17. You remember that?
No.
Okay. Counsel, this is from your discovery. May I approach?
Yes.
You recognize that document, sir?
Yes.
All right, and what is the date on that document?
That's 9/26 of 17, but that's not a financial disclosure form.
That's a form where Mr. McDonald's asking the fees to be waived because he can't afford them, correct?
It's a fee opposition promotion sheet. I can't even read what this says, and I'm not clear exactly what it's stating, but.
All right, well, you attached it to your documents, that's attached to your search warrant, correct?
Right.
So, or wouldn't you, if you don't know what it was, where are you attaching it?
I'm attaching it because it appears that the bottom area, that there was some kind of a computer program that changed the wording defendant, and also the date was typed in there over the form that was handwritten initially, and an electronic signature. And that goes to, it indicates that Mr. McDonald has access to some type of program or something that can put this type of typeset on a document, which appears to be the same as in the counselor letter.
And the fact, that's why you attached it?
Yes.
Okay, it also indicates that you had no money to pay legal fees at the time, correct? Filing fees?
I'd have to read it. This isn't a legible copy.
Okay, what's the date on that?
9/26 of 17.
9/26 of 17. He wasn't actually hired for the employment records until October. So in the month of September, when you said he didn't have any money, he didn't have any work, you have no reason to doubt that.
But this isn't a financial disclosure form. This isn't just saying whether he's working or not.
All right, sir. Have you ever handled any litigation? You ever litigated a case as an attorney or as a pro per litigant?
No.
And when you went through your divorce, were you able to afford an attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
Objection, relevance.
So let me ask you a question.
Sustained. Counsel approach.
I'm sorry, sir. Now, our point and the reason I was coming to was how often do you have to file financial disclosure forms in family court?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, if you don't know, and I don't know, how would someone find out how often you're supposed to file financial disclosure forms in family court?
There's self-help available. There's different means of finding out, but I don't know if there's a rule or if there's not a rule.
Okay, so my point, sir, it's one thing to be sloppy with paperwork. It's quite another to be committing a crime. You agree?
Somewhat.
Okay. Now, we all sign tax returns to say I swear under penalty of perjury to the first is the best of my ability that I know this stuff is true. But the tax code is a million pages long. Now, did the thought occur to you in the course of your investigation that Mr. McDonald is not a family court lawyer?
Well, clearly he's not a family court lawyer.
Okay, so did you find out what happened to his original attorney? Did you find out that he committed suicide?
I'm aware that he's had several attorneys.
Yes, sir. So my question, sir, is at least in September of 17, Mr. McDonald was in fact unemployed and didn't have any income coming in. So my question for you, sir, is did you look at the financial disclosure form other than the last page? Did you see the front page of it?
The one filed March 13th.
Right. All right. Now, this is the one that, for the record, this is there's not a date on the front page of that document, is there?
The state requests, if we're going to refer to the financial disclosure form, we need to refer to the one that's actually been admitted.
Touche, good point. Let me take it back from your perspective and I'll get the actual. you've asked me to use the one we've marked, now you gotta help me find it.
It was filed March 13th of 2018,
What's it marked?
so we'll be Exhibit 5.
Exhibit 5. Okay, now I've got a document with the help of my colleague, thank you, marked Exhibit 5, which appears to be pulling out of the redacted statement, showing you the document marked financial disclosures, 1 of 8. Do you see that, sir? I believe that's the same document.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is there a date on the front page?
I'm sorry, is there what on the front page?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is there a date on the front page of that document?
No.
Is there a date on the second page of that document?
No.
Is there a date on the third page of that document?
No.
Is there a date on the fourth page of that document?
No.
Is there a date on the fifth page of that document?
No.
Is there a date on the sixth page of that document?
No.
Is there a date on the seventh page? That's the 13th of March.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Now, let me ask you a question, Detective. Did you go down and ask anybody in family court how these documents are prepared? Did somebody just take the box off or the back off and just staple a new date on it? I've never seen.
I'm unclear. This was filed on the 13th with the filing. The complete financial disclosure form was filed within the filing.
Okay, and did where in the law or where in the self-help center does it tell Mr. McDonald to update his financial forms before every hearing?
I don't know.
Were you aware that there was actually a hearing set for September 17th and it got continued?
There was a lot of hearings set, yes.
Okay, so this thing's been going, you agree that this thing's been going on for quite some time, correct?
Correct.
All right, now, I want to come back to Ms. Hunterton. Without badgering you, when did you go talk to Ms. Hunterton and why?
I spoke to her, I believe it was March 21st, 2018.
All right, and you had developed through a tip that maybe this document was false, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you go to talk to Ms. Hunterton?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's go through what we can agree on without fighting. We agree that she acknowledges that Blake had been there.
Yes.
She admits that she had been giving him counseling.
No.
All right, well, we'll get back to that. We admit that she agreed that Mike wasn't a threat to his family.
Your Honor, objection, these questions are calling for hearsay.
Well, no, they're not. She's been on the witness stand.
I'm overruling the objection, that's cross, but not an answer.
Right.
No,
Now,
we didn't have that discussion.
okay, well, you got an affidavit from her, did you not, sir? Showing you what state's aid. In fact, this document was prepared specifically at your request, was it not?
No.
Why did Ms. Hunterton prepare that affidavit then for you?
She didn't prepare it for me.
She did not. When did you go see her?
March 21st, I believe.
And then why would you, and she did this affidavit that the jury's, we've already admitted into evidence, was prepared on the 19th of March, or 19th of April, sorry. She didn't do this for you?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Did Ms. Hunterton tell you that she disagreed substantively with anything that was in the letter?
She didn't tell me that she agreed or disagreed, but the only thing that she told me is what was in the letter was in the spirit of what they spoke about, is what she said.
Okay, so the spirit. All right, so if I'm going to commit deception, I've got to convince you that something that's not true is actually true. Correct?
Deception?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I mean, isn't that the soul of gravamen, is a fraud? I'm lying to you to get money from you?
Objection, calling for legal conclusions.
Sustained, we're gonna deal with that in jury instructions.
All right, sir. She said that she agreed with the spirit of what was said in the letter.
Correct.
Okay? And your recollection now is that you don't recall her telling you that Mike had actually been attending counseling with you?
I didn't ask for that, no.
Okay, you didn't ask for that. We need the court's indulgence for this moment. All right, thank you, Detective. You may be a little confused about the timeline. May I approach?
Yes.
All right, counsel, this is States 8.
States 8.
Yes. All right. Have you seen that before, sir?
Yes.
Okay. When and under what circumstance did you see that affidavit?
I saw that when it was filed in family court.
Okay. And that affidavit pretty much says it's procedurally irregular, but why did you go forward with criminal charges if she said she kind of agreed with the spirit of everything that was in the revised letter?
The investigation has different facets, and just because she said that she would write another letter if she had the chance to, I mean, there's obviously perjury issues that have nothing to do with her letter. There is forgery issues that I don't know that she's actually said that those are her beliefs of what that sentence actually says.
Okay. All right, okay, you know she's testified.
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead. How can you be certain that he's committed fraud on his financial forms when you don't know how many times the forms, how often they have to be updated?
Never said he committed fraud on it.
Okay. You would agree over the last 4 or 5 years he's had several different employments. You've seen the records, correct?
I've seen his records with Progistics.
Okay. Now, you watched and collected a videotape for the district attorney's office from family court that we've seen here on the witness stand, correct?
Correct.
Now, did you watch that the entire time?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in the entire time that that video was playing, did Mr. McDonald have an attorney?
There was an attorney that came in to withdraw from the case.
Withdraw from the case. Mr. McDonald didn't have an attorney, correct?
Well, I don't, at one point he did, so I don't know when you're speaking about. During the actual hearing, I would say he did not have an attorney.
He did not have an attorney at the hearing. Did that cause you concern that maybe Mr. McDonald wasn't able to get his thoughts out coherently in the face of a tough cross-examiner?
No, I think the questions regarding if you're employed and how much you make are fairly simple.
The attorney was representing his ex-wife, whom we all agree doesn't have good feelings for him, correct?
I have no idea what his feelings are.
Okay. Sir, one of the things you can do if you want to find out about someone is go talk to their ex-spouse, correct? Have you used that technique as a detective?
Yeah.
Okay, so usually most divorces don't end amicably, and generally the ex-spouse has got a lot of dirt on people, correct?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, right? It's a standard detective thing, correct? Or there's something you can use if you want to.
Something you can do, I wouldn't say it's standard, but
Okay. Now, you're telling me you don't remember talking to his ex-wife?
I've never, ever talked to his ex-wife, nor have I met her.
You know Detective Ruiz over at the Metropolitan Police Department?
No.
No? How many cases are down in family court, sir, do you know?
No.
All right. How many people are delinquent on child support or financial problems?
Objection, relevance?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why this particular
I'm
case is.
sustaining the objection.
All right, I'll rephrase it. Sir, is there any particular special interest in this case? There's thousands, hundreds of thousands of cases down there. Why this one?
This came to my attention during an investigation that I was conducting.
All right, so if Mr. McDonald hadn't run for office, you wouldn't have investigated him and he would not have been charged with a crime.
I guess we could say if he hadn't run for office, there would not have been an allegation that he was not living in the district he was running for, so I guess if you take those steps back, then correct.
Well, once you found the allegation turned out to be false, weren't you uncomfortable that you were being used to somebody else's ends?
Who was using me? I don't feel anybody was using me.
Okay. Do you know as a fact his ex-wife put that out there, or do you know?
I don't know.
Did you call and talk with the mediators of this site? Where they're getting their information from?
I didn't call, no.
Well, the second piece of information would have been demonstrably weaker value since the first allegation turned out not to be true. But you still used it as the basis of a search warrant.
No, I used it as a tip to begin an investigation which developed probable cause for my search warrant through further investigation.
What other detectives did you work with on this case?
Detective Mark Gregory.
And does Detective Gregory, does he have any background with false documents?
Yes, in the course of where we're assigned.
Right, well, let me ask you a couple of questions. You're doing, what's the name of the unit now?
Criminal Intelligence Section.
Criminal Intelligence Section. Now, do you guys have a mission statement?
No.
All right, I know what a burglary detective does, I know what a homicide detective does, but what does a criminal intelligence unit do?
I explained it at the beginning of my testimony. We gather information and investigate allegations of crimes which are violations of public integrity type statutes.
Did you interview Judge Markey?
No.
How long did that audio tape go on, the court minutes? It was clearly edited. How long was that hearing?
Maybe a couple hours.
And of that couple hours edited, we saw how much time?
I don't know.
Objection, may we approach?
Yes.
Any time during that tape, did they discuss child custody? Mr. McDonald asked for his kids back, or at least access to his kids.
I believe that's what the whole point of the hearing was, for the most part.
And the judge denied his request.
Yes.
The judge's instructions. Just a couple of follow-up minor points, sir. I just want to close the loop on a couple of things. Did you ever go and interview Mr. DeCiro?
No,
Did anybody from your unit go and interview Mr. DeCiro?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And how many guys are on your, how many detectives are on your unit?
At the time, I believe there was 5, and it differed between 5 and 6.
Do you know, or would you know if somebody actually went over and talked to the moderator of this website?
Yes.
You would?
If it was on my squad, yes.
Okay.
I can't speak for the whole police department.
Did Judge, or did anybody other than you, this is all your initiative. You started this investigation start to finish. No one's asked you to?
No.
And other than this anonymous tip about where he lived?
That's it.
I have nothing further.
Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. And first, in rebuttal, the state has an additional proposed exhibit. May I approach, have it marked as next in line?
Yes.
So, Detective, you've been asked a lot by defense counsel about viewing the Nevada Court Watchers Facebook site. So I want to refer to that for a few minutes. First, why were you monitoring that specific Facebook page for Nevada Court Watchers?
That's just one of the sites that I look at from time to time. It discusses different aspects of the courts and different attorneys and or judges, and it's information that's basically stuff that we monitor and stuff that the type of investigations that we do involve those type of entities and those type of persons.
Okay, when you say those entities and types of persons, is that the fact that you look into allegations of wrongdoing by licensed individuals like attorneys?
Correct.
As well as judges?
Correct.
And what you observed on that Facebook site, was that a message you received, or was it just a public comment on that site?
No, it was a public comment.
So did anyone ever contact you directly on Facebook, or
No.
email or other electronic means regarding the defendant?
No.
Now, you were asked about the you were asked about a form that was attached to your search warrant affidavit that had a date on it of September 26th of 2017.
Correct.
Just now by defense counsel. Why was that attached to your search warrant?
Again, that was attached to show down at the bottom, there appeared to be an alteration with typeset on the bottom, which says defendant, same thing with the date of 9/26/17. And then there appears to be a typed or a script signature that's over it that's not handwritten. And this is the type of script that appears to me to be in the altered letter that was placed on there. So this was to show that Mr. McDonald had access to some type of program that would put this typeset into a document that already existed. So I was just showing the correlation to it.
And the financial disclosure form that you reviewed in the course of your investigation, when was that actually filed in the defendant's family court case?
That was filed on March 13th of 2018.
And in the course of your investigation, did you determine whether or not the defendant was employed on that date?
Yes.
Okay. Was he or was he not employed on that date?
He was employed.
And the financial disclosure form that was filed on March 13th of 2018, did it have a date on it anywhere on the form?
On the signature page, it had the date of March 13th.
And in the course of your investigation, at some point, did you request client records from Ms. Nancy Hunterton's therapy practice?
Yes.
Okay. And were those records ever received?
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
May we approach?
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness who states for post 28? Detective, I'm showing you states for post 28. The first page you may not recognize, but is that a custodian of record affidavit?
It is.
Okay. And have you seen that before or not?
Not this particular one, no.
Okay. And then can you flip through the rest of the pages in states for post 28 and tell me if you recognize them?
Yes.
Are those records that you obtained from Ms. Nancy Hunterton's practice, Character Way?
Yes.
And Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to admit state's proposed exhibit 28 pursuant to NRS 52.260 because there's a custodian of record affidavit which allows for admittance of these records if one is included with the records.
No objection pursuant to the conversation of the bench.
That's fine. You'll be admitted as soon as our conversation.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish?
Go ahead.
And so I'm publishing the state's exhibit 28. Can you see that on your screen, okay, Detective?
Yes.
Okay. And, all right, and what we're looking at here, what does it say at the top?
It says letter/affidavit.
Okay. And so what is it that we're looking at here? Just what type of document?
Appears to be an email.
Okay. From whom?
Mr. McDonald.
And what's the email address?
It's michaelmcdonaldwork@gmail.com.
And who is the email to?
Nancy Hunterton.
What's the date on the email?
April 19th of 2018.
Okay. And what does the email itself say?
If you could scoot it over just a little bit, it's cut off.
Spell like that?
Yeah, thank you. Nancy wanted to ask you how the letter is coming alone. Would really like to file it with a dismissal tomorrow or early next week as it is looming over my head. Thank you for all that you do.
And Detective, do you have State's Exhibit 5 up there with you?
I do.
Your Honor, may I approach her too, then? Actually, any exhibit, if you have any exhibits, I'll up there. Bragging. And of course, brief indulgence. Detective, I'm showing you the last page of State's Exhibit 2. And so what I'm showing you is attached to State's Exhibit 2. And when we see on the front page, would you agree this is one of the filings from Michael McDonald from September 27th of 2017?
Correct.
Okay. And so the last page of this document, you were asked about attaching this to your search warrant. Does this appear to be a copy of what you attached to your search warrant request?
Yes, could you scoot it down just a little so I can see the
Right,
bottom?
okay.
Yes, it does, thank you.
Okay. And so I believe you were testifying that this stood out to you, I think, because of this section and this section here, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, could you explain that?
Again, it looked like it was an existing document that had some handwritten writing on it, as well as the date. And then what it appears is there's some typeset that was somehow imposed or put into the document stating defendant 926-17, and then what appears to be a signature. And that struck me because it appears to be the same type of way that that extra sentence may have been added into the letter from Ms. Hunterton.
Okay. And so I'm going to show you an additional exhibit that contains a copy of the letter. So you can pick that out, and that's State's Exhibit 5. I'll zoom in. Okay. And do you see here kind of the similar technology that you were talking about?
Correct.
Okay. And can you explain what you're referring to?
I'm referring to the last line that says, I do not believe Mr. McDonald is a harm to his children or himself.
So you're saying it looked like it was a similar type of technology method, adding this sentence to this letter as adding the wording to the document that we were just looking at?
Correct.
Court's brief indulgence. I will pass the witness.
Just a couple quick follow-up questions. Detective, there's something I don't understand. Was Michael McDonald behind on his child support?
I have no idea.
Well, if he wasn't behind on his child support, and no one's asking for your help, and you've never been to family court, and you have no reference in family court, why did you randomly pick a few documents and file felony charges on it?
I didn't randomly pick documents that explain the course of my investigation, and there's clearly filed documents as part of my investigation, which are felony crimes.
Did you check with anybody for some perspective on things? That's an enormous bureaucracy down there. Thousands, tens of thousands of pieces of paper every day.
I clearly saw that it seemed to be an issue with the family court judge on the video.
Did you interview the family court judge?
No.
Did you get any communications from the family court judge?
No.
So she's got all sorts of lawful powers to enforce order in her court. Did you check with her? Why are you duplicating her effort?
I wasn't duplicating her effort.
All right. To this day, do you know what percentage of litigants in family court even update their financial disclosures after their first file?
No.
And you agree that this divorce has been going on for 5 years?
It's been going on for several years. I know that.
Several years. So you can't even say, as you're sitting here, that this is any different than any other family court case.
When you're talking about updating financial disclosure forms, the one that we've been looking at on March 13th was filed on March 13th, and it was signed that it was March 13th. So
Was it? But the point, detective, is you simply don't have the reference to know. I mean, every bureaucracy is different.
Objection,
I'll
counsel's
withdraw.
testifying.
It's argument. All right. Okay. Knowing that you're in an area that you don't understand that well or you don't use every day, did you try to talk to a couple of lawyers from that area of law?
no.
Did you talk to a retired family court judge to see if this really was a big deal?
No.
Okay, nothing further.
Court's brief indulgence. Just briefly, Your Honor, I may be here.
All right,
Hey, Detective.
it's something you brought up and.
It is, Your Honor.
Okay.
Detective, you were asked some questions about why you didn't talk to certain people, specifically Judge Linda Markey. Why didn't you talk to Judge Linda Markey in the course of your investigation?
I certainly can't have communication with the judge about one of her cases that she's overseeing.
Why is that?
It's improper.
And you were also asked if you met with Mark DeCiro. Why did you never meet with Mark DeCiro?
You really didn't have anything to add to my investigation.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No, thank you, Judge.
Questions from the jury? Raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Don't be shy.
Folks, if you have, you can use the full sheet of paper, and we don't have shortages of paper. And write your juror number on there. And you don't have to fold them up, you can just hand it.
You know, if you could write it, redo it on a full sheet, because those are kept for, as part of the court record, and a little scrap is gonna get lost.
Judge, one of the jurors had her notes on the top. I told her to tear that off.
If it's big enough that. Steve, we have lots more. Counsel approach. Detective, I read these as they're written, so it sometimes sounds weird because of the third person or whatever. This one doesn't. Does your department/squad have access to computer forensic analysis?
Our squad does not. Not quite sure what would be analyzed on the document.
Were the files/photos of the letters retained and submitted to computer forensics to determine origin of alterations? If not, why?
No. We're dealing with, I never even had an original copy of this. Was all documents that were recovered from the clerk's office, so they're scanned in. So even if we had capabilities to do some type of forensic identification or something, we can't do it off of scanned documents. So we never did locate the original letter, so we would be able to do any type of forensic activity with it.
Was your initial observation of Michael McDonald at his residence, parentheses, out of area, done on your own personal time or part of your salaried day?
It was during my work hours.
Referring to your comment on your, quote, downtime.
I think I made a statement that I review some websites when we have downtime, but still, I'm talking about while I'm on my shift, not when I'm at home or something similar to that. So it's all during my work time.
Follow up on those two, or those questions from the state?
No, Your Honor.
From the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Detective. You may step down.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking our evening recess. Council approach. Okay, 9 a.m. During this recess, you're once again admonished, do not talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected with the trial. Do not read, watch, or listen to any report of or commentary on this trial or any person connected with this trial by any medium of information, including, without limitation, newspapers, television, radio, or internet. Do not form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is finally submitted to you. We've heard testimony regarding websites. Do not go and look up anything, please. We always find out, and it, again, is not a good thing. So don't go looking up anything to do with this case. Don't do any experimentation of any kind. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Folks, you'll wait out in front of 15B, not in front of 15C. Make sure that you validated your parking. Leave your notebooks and pens here. Make sure you grab all your personal items. Once again, make sure you validate your parking. See you tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Department 28 now in session. The Honorable Ronald J presiding.
Good morning. Please be seated. Go ahead.
Case number C-335284, State of Nevada versus Michael McDonald.
Anything we need to talk about?
Just briefly, Your Honor, the state has the unredacted versions of things that have been admitted as state's exhibits, and the state just wants to make sure these are admitted as court exhibits.
No objection.
Not to go back to the jury.
Not that it's worth much, but I do want to commend my colleague who clearly spent a lot of time redacting those documents. And despite my heated and moment complaints, I want to recognize that she's obviously a lot of effort into it.
Thank you.
Can I approach? I just didn't want to do it in front of the jury.
Yes. Appreciate it. So we have one witness and then jury.
Mr. Schuller, and I've been up most of the night. When I worked on your instructions, I don't think we'll have any trouble getting this case to the jury.
Okay, very good.
Most of
There's like a pretty big trial with, I don't know how many different sides, supposed to start whenever this is done. So I keep, first it was Tuesday, and then it was, so it's back and forth. But anyway, you guys have done it expeditiously. Anything from the defense?
There you are. We'll
Bring him in. Please be seated. Parties acknowledge the presence of the jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
State, call your, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. So you have an idea, we hope to be, no promises, but we hope to be doing closing arguments this afternoon. So, State, call your next witness.
The state calls Marshal Willick. And Your Honor, may I approach to retrieve some exhibits?
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give in this action should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and under pain of criminal case of perjury?
I do.
Please be seated. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
First name Marshall, M-A-R-S-H-A-L, last name Willick, W-I-L-L-I-C-K.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Willick.
Good morning.
Mr. Willick, what do you do for a living?
I'm an attorney,
Okay, and what kind of attorney are you?
family law, in the vernacular divorce law.
And how long have you been a family law attorney?
Most of my career, I've been an attorney for almost 40 years and been doing family law for most of that time.
And in what jurisdiction?
All in Nevada.
Okay. And in, mostly in Clark County or?
Yes, it's a statewide practice, but I live here, so the bulk of my cases have been here.
And do you have your own law firm?
I do.
And what is that called?
It's the Willick Law Group, at the moment, 4 lawyers.
And are you the founding partner?
I am.
And Can you explain a little about what you do as a family law attorney?
Sure. Family court takes in a number of issues that are set out in the statutes. It's divorce, custody, visitation, support, adoption, guardianship, terminations of parental rights, and pretty much every issue that can come up in a divorce, which is pretty much everything, finds its way into family court one way or another.
And could you kind of go through your work history, just sort of where?
Sure. I grew up here, junior high school, college. We didn't have a law school back then, so I went elsewhere and came back.
Where did you go to law school?
Georgetown in D.C. Went to work in the Nevada Supreme Court for a couple of years on the central legal staff. Joined an insurance defense firm for a year or two during the MGM fire litigation. And then when that ended, went off into a small firm, which dissolved about 3 or 4 or 5 years later. And then I restarted it as the Willick Law Group.
And the Willick Law Group, when was that first formed?
80s, 87, 88, 89, somewhere.
So approximately 30 years ago?
Right.
Okay. And do you have any particular certifications regarding family law?
Well, several. I'm a certified family law specialist by the NBTA, by the state of Nevada. I'm a member of the American and International Academies of Matrimonial Lawyers. There's a number of organization certificates, etc. I've received training in most ancillary fields and processes.
Have you authored any books or articles on family law in Nevada?
Yes, several books and hundreds of articles. There is no known complete list, but a general book for the public called Know Your Rights in Divorce, several textbooks for lawyers, military and other retirement benefits. I teach a lot.
Do you teach, what do you teach?
Mostly lawyers. It's called CLE, Continuing Legal Education. And I have a frequent appearance to teach specialized topics in family law to lawyer audiences. There's also been a bunch of general public information.
Okay, so you teach the general public about family law as well?
When I'm invited, yes.
So, how does that work? Do you go and speak at functions, or?
Yes. State bars will put them on, or county bars, or even private organizations will have some sort of event, and they bring in speakers to address various topics, which I've done on a wide range of divorce. As I said, divorce sooner or later takes in pretty much anything that can happen in a courtroom. So I've been invited to speak on topics from computers to pension benefits.
And do you have any involvement with the Nevada Family Law Practice Manual?
Well, yeah, I was the original author of most of it, and the original managing editor for its creation, which took some years. And it's gone on to, I think, 2 or 3 other editions since then.
And when was the family court in the 8th Judicial District Court here in Clark County, when was that created?
1992. Before that, family law was done in the general courtrooms. There was no civil criminal division. It was all one group, and family law was just lumped in with everything else as something that would be heard first thing in the morning right before criminal sentencing or fender benders or whatever. So there was a decision in the late 80s is when the debate started, eventually a constitutional amendment in the Nevada Constitution to allow the formation of a family court specific to handling these very personal, very important cases.
And did you have any involvement in the creation of that family court?
Yeah, I've been involved since the beginning. I was part of the attorney focus groups that backed the legislation, and I wasn't in the legislature. I was just an attorney in practice who assisted people that actually got the thing passed and tried to set it up.
Meaning assisted the legislators?
Yeah, I answered. I've always been something of a legal technician, so I've answered a lot of questions from legislators, from judges. That's pretty much my role.
And have you previously testified as an expert before the 8th Judicial District Court regarding family law?
Many times.
And And you're receiving compensation for testifying here today.
That's my understanding. I've never submitted a statement, but my understanding is I'm supposed to track my time and eventually submit a statement.
Okay. And do you do an hourly rate?
I don't know what hourly rate is acceptable to the public covers. I was told that it was $150, and so that's fine.
Okay. And so in your experience practicing family law, have you taken family court cases to trial?
Hundreds, thousands.
And mostly in Clark County?
Mostly in Clark County.
Okay. So, so as a result of your work experience, are you familiar with the family court building here in town?
Intimately. My office is across the street.
Okay. So the family court building at 601 North Pecos?
Yes, corner of Pecos and Bonanza.
And how do, are you familiar with how litigants typically file things in family court? And I'm not talking about attorneys, but the actual parties.
Sure, and both can. You can either file electronically or you can file across the counter.
Across the counter, meaning in person?
Yeah, you show up and you hand documents over. There's actually two places where you can do that. You can do that here in this building. This is called the RJC, for Regional Justice Center. Or you can file at the family court, which has a duplicate clerk's counter at that court.
And are most people who are getting divorces or have family court cases, are they represented by an attorney in family court?
Well, it's changed over the years. Currently, I believe it's 60 some odd, could be up to 70% of cases have at least one litigant involved in the case who is self-represented. They're called either pro pers, proper person, or pro se litigants. And the remainder have an attorney. And a lot of people bounce in and out. They can have an attorney for one piece of the case and be self-represented in another part of the case, or vice versa.
Are you familiar with the self-help center that's in the family court building?
Intimately.
Okay. Can you explain what that self-help center does?
Sure. The self-help center was created to assist people who either can't or don't want to hire a lawyer to file documents in family court. They're not allowed to give legal advice, that would be practicing law, but they do provide, they've always provided packets of information. The system has changed in the last few years. It's been taken over by the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada. They run the self-help center in this building and the self-help center at the family court. And I was part of the committee that redesigned the forms to make them easier to use and more accessible to the general public so that people can get into the system and litigate their own cases on the merits as easily as possible.
And what kind of, you kind of touched on this, but what kind of issues are being determined in a family court case?
Everything that might possibly come up. You're looking at the divorce itself, that's status, custody of children, of course, support of children, support of spouses, property division, debt division, and every ancillary thing that can come up. Every property issue that you can imagine has been litigated in a family court, every corporate matter, every bit of partnership law. Sooner or later, if it comes up in a courtroom, it will find its way to family court.
And so frequently you said you're referred to as a divorce attorney, but is it fair to say that even after parties have gotten divorced, they may still have issues that are being determined in family court?
Sure. One of the big differences between family law and virtually everything else that happens is that the cases almost never end. Some things are considered final when they happen. For instance, property division is considered final and generally can't be changed much 6 months after a decree of divorce is entered. But as long as the children are minors, upon changed circumstances, custody is at issue, support is at issue. In some cases, spousal support can be changed as well. It depends on the orders entered in the original divorce action.
And in the course of making these determinations, what types of information are typically presented to family court judges when they're making decisions on these matters?
Well, it depends on the issue involved. If you're dealing with either, well, say, support of a child or spousal support, even property division, and financial information, meaning income, debt, assets, all of that stuff has to be presented to the court because it all has to be weighed in making a decision about who should be doing what with what money.
And so things like financial information, are they, is that information, a litigant's financial information, is that important in family court cases generally?
Oh, critical. I mean, obviously, you don't want judges guessing. They're supposed to use the facts of the case to make reasoned decisions for support of children, support of spouses, and division of assets.
And now your work in this case specifically, did you review any documents specifically regarding this case?
I did. I've reviewed the litigation history. There's a thing out there called a register of action.
Would you approach?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Yes.
And Mr. Willick, I think before the objection, I think I just asked you what you would review in the course of preparing for your testimony, and I think you'd mentioned reviewing something called the Register of Actions, and you were explaining what that was.
Yeah, it's the court record of what's been filed in the case to refamiliarize myself with the history of this particular family law matter. And I have looked over the exhibits that have been provided me from your office, which are basically all family court documents on file in this case, including various motions, financial affidavits, exhibits, etc.
And I'll ask you some questions about what you reviewed, but I don't want you to be telling me what particular documents say unless I specifically ask for it.
Okay.
And so regarding some of the documents that you prepared in this case.
I didn't prepare any documents.
All right, I misspoke, that you reviewed.
Okay.
So thank you for, if I misspeak, please do correct me.
No problem.
So I'm going to publish State's Exhibit 5. Do we need to do something for the monitor?
I think they're on. Is that?
This is on.
It's just a remote.
Oh.
It's always a good sign.
Okay, let's take a short recess. We'll get the IT people in here. This is somewhat new equipment. All right, bring them in.
I'll press it, Your Honor.
Thank you. Parties acknowledge presence of the jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Well, for now, we have the technical difficulties fixed. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to reread a pretrial instruction, and actually it's another instruction that you will be getting. Since the law requires that any question asked any witness complies with the rules of evidence, it is possible that the court will deem that question inappropriate and therefore it may not be asked. You are not to draw any inferences or conclusions one way or the other if the question you submit is not asked. If your question is asked and answered, you are not to place undue weight on the responses given to your question. There are certain questions which you may wish to ask which are never proper or allowed in a trial. Those questions involve hearsay, which ask a witness to relate facts told to them by someone else. And so those questions, that's just a sample, cannot be asked. So continue.
Marshal Willick.
Mr. Willick, you're still under oath.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
And Mr. Willick, I'm publishing what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 5, and it's up on our television screens here, and can you see it on the screen in front of you as well?
This screen is
It needs to be turned on. probably on this. Actually on the right one.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, do you see it on the screen in front of you?
Yes.
Is this one of, do you recognize this as one of the items that you reviewed in the case involving Mr. McDonald?
I'm pretty sure it is, yes.
And what kind of document are we looking at here?
It's a cover sheet to a list of exhibits. With a change in the rules, I was a member of the committee that redid our rules a couple of years ago, to make it a little easier for judges to review documents because they're now all computerized like this bench is. The rules were changed so that when you have exhibits to a filing in family court, you file the document itself as one thing, and then the exhibits to that document as a separate thing. This appears to be the cover sheet to the exhibits to another filing, usually a motion or something.
And so I'm going to go a few pages into State's Exhibit 5. And do you recognize what we're looking at on the screen here?
Yes, I've seen it.
And what is this document?
It is apparently a letter from a psychotherapist indicating a course of treatment for Mr. McDonald.
And the letter is from a therapist, correct?
Right.
An LMFT?
Yeah, licensed marriage and family therapist.
And in the course of you practicing family law for approximately 30 years, in the course of you doing that, have you seen family court cases in which a litigant has provided to the court a letter from a therapist?
Many, many times.
Okay. And what are these letters used for? Or what does the judge use them for?
It depends on what the issues are in the case. Most typically, there's a custody evaluation of some sort going on. That's probably the most common thing, where people are making allegations of one sort or another about custodial fitness or some sort of behavior, and a psychotherapist is asked to either do testing or evaluation or therapy of one, the other, or both litigants to try to determine their fitness and suitability for the custodial schedule that's an issue in the case.
And I want to draw your attention particularly to this particular sentence here. Do you see where my pen is pointing?
Yes, the last sentence on the first paragraph.
Yes, could you read that sentence, please?
I do not believe Mr. McDonald is a harm to his children or himself.
Have you, in the course of your career, have you seen cases in which an LMFT makes such a blanket statement with little other explanation in a family court case?
Well, I've seen very few cases of that poor grammar of the intention to express an intention, a statement of that sort. Have I seen naked conclusions? Yeah, I mean, in the course of all the decades I've been doing this, I've seen pretty much everything. But typically I would expect a little bit more text, yes.
Like what?
Well, it depends again on what the issues are. If there has been an allegation of some sort of domestic violence or threats of harm, I would usually expect to see some recitation of what has been reviewed, when it was reviewed, which collateral witnesses were talked to, and why a conclusion was reached.
And court's brief indulgence. And are you familiar with the Facebook page by the name of Nevada Court Watchers?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your involvement in that Facebook page?
It's one of many Facebook pages that are out there where people talk about matters pending in courts. And my involvement is I occasionally answer technical legal questions where people post it, for instance, when are the child support statutes changing? What are the new rules going to be? Have the local rules for family court altered? And if so, how? That's a typical question that I would answer on that or many other websites and forums. all of those.
So are you saying you answer questions on these other websites as well?
Yes, it's a public service.
And the Facebook page about court watchers, were you involved in its creation?
No.
And in the course of your practice, have you come in contact with the defendant, Mr. Michael McDonald?
Yes, we've met a couple of times.
Okay, and where was that you met him?
I have seen him on the third floor conference room reception area at family court. I was waiting for a committee meeting, and he was there doing something else. And, I believe we were introduced briefly.
And did you see him here in the courtroom today?
Yes, I did.
Could you please point at him and describe something that he's wearing?
Sure. He's the center gentleman wearing the white shirt at defense counsel table.